All right, so here we go. All righty then, here we go. John Deere 7200 corn planter. Everything's done with the exception of these closing wheels. These closing wheels, I don't know if you saw it yet, but they're too close, and I cannot adjust them wide enough with the original stud type closing wheel arm. That's right. And in order to buy the entire arm, it will cost me $206 per row. $206 per row for 24 rows. That's, 24 rows. That's a lot. It's a lot of money. So 2 times 10, that's 2,000. That's 4,000. That's 4,000. 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 4,800, 5,000 bucks. $5,000. It will cost me $5,000 to put new springs, new levers, new everything on there, less the closing wheel, right? And that's from Shoop. So there you go. So what I've done is I've come up with a way to make this thing work. All right? It involves a piece of steel. Now, this piece of steel is a 1/2 inch thick. It is 1.5 inches wide. And what it will do is, my problem is, somebody's like, oh, well, just cut a piece of steel and weld it to the bottom of the closing wheel arm. And then you'll have the closing wheel arm will be, it'll just work. Well, the problem with that is this angle here is pretty much straight. So that won't work. I'd have to have it bent in the perfect angle to make it match this. So what I've decided to do is take this little guy here, cut it off at 3 inches. I am going to bore a 1-inch hole here, and that will slip over the top of this 1-inch shaft, right? And then I'm going to cut that stud off of there. So this stud gets cut off. This piece of steel gets put on here, like so, and I'm going to bore a 5/8 inch hole directly behind it. Weld that on. That will give me the proper pitch for the closing wheel, so that it will close properly. The 5/8 inch hole will then have a shim. The shim, I will show you those. I have lots of them. I bought them for the row units. They're just these guys here. And here, what they'll do is they will go right in here. See that? So they'll go there, and I can actually space them if it takes 2 spacers each, or I got longer ones here or wider ones here. These are a bit bigger, a bit wider, and then I can use what came with the closing wheels, which is a bunch of these washers here. And these are just machine washers. You can go and buy these. They're heavy, thick machine washers. And for fine adjustments, I have these guys that are laying right here on the ground. These little guys. So I have about 100 of those. I'm missing these. I don't want these to get gone. These are the nuts that go. They're right and left hand nuts. I don't need those anymore, honestly. What I can do with these is they're right and left handed nuts. I'll just save those and use them for the openers and stuff. So this is going to be the beginning of this journey on I got to take all those wheels, the closing wheel arms off again, and I have to cut the studs, I have to bore the holes, and I have to do the welding. So I'll take them off and I'll bring them over to here. But before I do that, I actually have to make a jig so that I do this correctly, okay? All right. So I'm just setting this thing up so that I get it correct. And what I want to do is I'm going to bore the first hole, right? So I've got a little scribing tool here. This is a scribe and a centering punch. Watch this. This is something that Timothy has come up with. So what I want to do is I want to set this thing up so that it is exactly center to where I need it to be. So I measured 3/4 of an inch. It's 1.5 inches wide, so 3/4 of an inch. And I scribed it just very simply right there. Scribed that up. And I did it on both sides. Doesn't matter which side. And what I'm going to do is I've got the centering pin here. This just floats in here. It doesn't really do much of anything. And what I'm going to do is you just kind of move that thing there. You get it to center, right? Right to center. There's the center. And then you want to, once you get it to center, what I want to do is actually pull this thing past to about, so there's at least a 1/4 inch on the back side of this annular cutter. The reason for that is the reason for that is so that I've got enough room at the back to weld into, and enough room at the front so that I can put that 5/8 inch hole as close as possible to the 1 inch hole there, and have enough room on the back side of this thing so I can put a nut behind it and go ahead and tighten everything down. And what I'll probably do is, I'm not sure if I will, but I gotta find out what my bit size is. I don't know if I'll do that or not, because it doesn't, I could probably bore that hole and then thread it to the 5/8, and then I don't even have to worry about a nut. I just thread the bolt in and tighten her up. And then I could put a nut on the backside, but you know, it's starting to get a lot more work than I think needs to happen. A 5/8 inch hole, the thread should go through. I'll bet it's a 7/16 for that. It's not hard to figure out. I've got a chart on some of my other tools around here. There should be a chart right here on this tap and die set somewhere. No, it's not going to say so. But this only goes to 1/2 inch. I do have a bigger kit someplace, and it'll tell me what the 5/8 inch, well, I could look it up online as well. Tell me what the 5/8 inch threading, the hole for the 5/8 inch tap would be. And I could do that. That would work. The problem is you have right and left-handed threads already. I don't know that they would loosen up. You put them snug enough, unless a bearing goes out, things ought to be perfect every time. And honestly, this Haugen will run. This is a 2-speed, but you can put a tap in that thing and bloop, and it'll bore. They do sell them. They're a drill and a bore, a drill and a tap all in one. So it drills through the steel and then catches that thing and goes whoop, and drives it right through. But I'm not gonna do that. I'll just do it by hand. If I do that, probably not gonna do that. So now that I've got this thing kind of set up here where I want it, I'm gonna lay a piece of square stock. I gotta find that stuff. Lay a piece of square stock here and on the back, and I'm gonna tack it there and there. All right, so here it is. Loose enough I can put it in there like that. Tight enough that it isn't going to go anywhere, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and run the drill down. I did not take the drill off because I needed it in place to get it correct. You know, it was just a lot easier to deal with that way. And all right, so I've got some extra room there that I can actually move this mag drill back a little bit. If I move it back just a little bit, that'll give me a little more room on the back side here, so that when I do decide to do when I go to bore the 5/8 inch hole, all I have to do is move the mag drill all the way forward up to that stop and do this. Yeah, if I can get this sucker in there. What the hell? All right, doesn't want to go. I guess it just wants to be a pain in my ass. Oh, I see. That was my fault. Duh. Yeah. So then I can drill the 5/8 hole. The 5/8 hole is actually right. I'm right where I want to be for that one. And I can move. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good right where I'm at. I actually did it correctly. Isn't that something? Holy cow, one lonely farmer did it right. Let's see. Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be perfect, you know? If you know what I'm saying. There it is. Now, I guess I can just... This is one now. I've actually got this on the low setting. There it is. Get your little top hat. It's always good to wear gloves when you do this because it can hurt you. Alright, let's see what it does. So, obviously I have not bored the second hole. Oh yeah, perfect. As far as I'm concerned, that's pretty freaking perfect. Let me go get a hammer. Flag hammer. There it is. Okay. Now, it's all just going to be a matter of, do I make it level? Or does it even matter? Well, it'll matter. I should probably make it level with the bottom of the closing wheel arm, like that. So that's how that's gonna go, just like that. And now I got to make 48 of them. So the hole for the 5/8 inch hole will be right about there. Now, and there's enough room that I can put a nut behind it. Okay, so now it's time to actually start drilling the second hole. I've been at this for a while, and yeah, I've been at it for a while. It takes a lot of time. 48 holes is a lot of holes to drill. There's a lot of times this little plug here, this little guy here, that gets caught up inside the annular cutter. And then you got to take these two set screws loose, raise that up, and then pull the bit out, and then there's a little plunger gizmo in there, the centering punch thing, and you just whack it a couple times, it comes out, and then you got to put it all back together, and it takes a fair amount of time to do. I have moved the, that's amazing, I have moved the drill itself. I've moved it back a little bit. So I've moved it back a little bit, and I put another 1/4 inch key stock in there. See, you got to have enough room to put a nut on the back side of this thing. So when this gets welded, then on the back side of this plate, there's got to be a nut for the 5/8 inch bolt. Now, and then I can make all my adjustments. I know there's a lot of guys that are, there's several guys that are like, oh, when you get that figured out, I'll take 24 rows worth. I've been working at this thing pretty much all day. Yeah, pretty much all day. I will not be done tonight. I don't think I will, because I have to, what I have to do once I'm done drilling the next 48 holes, oh, there's the damn thing. Here I'm wondering where in the hell it was. But that's what it's going to look like on there with a hole drilled in it. And that, there's enough room back there for a 5/8" nut. So, I hope there is anyway. Let me get a 5/8" nut, because it'll annoy me if I can't fit a 5/8 nut in there. 5/8 nut. Oh, it'll really annoy me if I can't fit a 5/8 nut in there. And I can easily fit. Not easily fit. What do we got there? Yeah. Hold on. I can fit a 5/8 nut in there, right? Please, Wesley, fit your 5/8 nuts in there. Yeah. I can fit a nut in there. No problem. It'll fit. Get you up on the old kickstand. And we'll see what happens. There. And right there. I'm thinking we're spot on. That's spot on. So it's going to be in there once I weld the thing fast. Once I weld it fast, this stud gets cut off of there, and I'll have my closing wheel arms right where they belong. I'm thinking I'm going to have... All right, so I've got it fixed. Nah, it's not fixed. I got one of them done. All right, so what I had to do, obviously I made these. You saw me do that. And what I ended up doing was taking a 5/8 by 3 bolt, and I put it in there, in through the hole. Let me see, what did I do with that thing? I put it in through this hole here. I did not tack it. I didn't think I need to. And then I put this guy here on a level like that, so that it was level where it would normally be planting. And I set the angle, you know, so that it would, when it is in the planting position, that it is slightly down from what it would normally be because of this pin that's in here. If I ever need to take that out, if I ever need to take it out, pretty much just have to take it off, cut the whole thing off, and start over. But I don't think I've ever had to take one of those out. Welded it on the outside, welded it on the face of the stud. I didn't. And there, same thing, did that. So I'm thinking because it sits back farther that I may have to put a little more pressure on it, but I don't know. I mean, the cantilever, it is a heavier, these things are heavy, and these are farm shop, if I haven't said that 1,000 times. And the reason I had to do this was because I couldn't get the spacing right using those studs. There's not enough thread, and they're right and left-handed threads. I used this Loctite bearing mount stick, so obviously it should more than likely, I don't know. I want to go get some blue Loctite as well, but tomorrow when this is fully cured, I'll see if I can take that nut off of there, and I'm going to cut the end of that bolt so that nothing's sticking out, so it can't catch stuff. You know, so I think I'll be okay. I'm hoping I'll be okay with it. But, yeah, so there it is. That's the fix. Now I just have to replicate that 23 more times. I'm sure as it goes, it'll get easier as I go. But the hardest part, cutting those studs off of there. Man, the sparks come off of that thing. So crazy, the sparks come off of there. So I'm just using the cutoff wheel on that. But that is the fix. That's what's going to make it work. And I'm sure there's guys out there who say, why do you mess with this junk? Why don't you go buy a new one? Well, I love it when people tell me that, because you know what? The simple answer is, I don't want to. I just bought this. I'm going to plant a total of 1,300 acres of corn with this. Just a total of 1,300 acres of corn. I'll have 300 acres of soybeans, I believe. 200 to 300 acres of soybeans. That's the plan. If I plant 1,200 acres of corn, then it'll be 300 acres of beans. If I plant 1,300 acres of corn, then it'll be 200 acres of beans. I am not in the mood to deal with soybeans and deer. The reason I'm doing that in such a abstract way is because Every place I had corn last year, I have to put corn because of the herbicide. That's just a fact. And every place that I had beans, I have wheat. So I don't want to take the wheat off. I don't want to put soybeans. There's one farm that has to be corn. And yeah, there's one farm that has to be corn. The other farms, I don't have to do corn there. So what I'm going to do, because beans I can plant a little later, but what I'm going to do is the places I'm going to put corn are the farms that I'm going to do first when I harvest the wheat. I'm going to turn the wheat mechanically, not mechanically, but chemically turn the wheat so that it matures much faster. Once it hits 30%, terminate it. And then 3 or 4 or 5 days later, go in and combine it, cut the heads off, and get on my way. Just get the wheat off, get it up in this bin, get the fan on it, and life will be good. I can put up to 25% moisture in that bin and just run the fans on it, and it'll aerate enough to get it out of there, to get the moisture out of it, and I'll be happy with that. So when I'm doing that job, then I can just have the corn planter going, So get done with the wheat on that 140 acres that I'm going to put into corn because of the atrazine. So it's like 40, 115, 165. How many acres of wheat do I have? 115 there. I got 140 acres there. So it's 255 acres there. 255 plus the other side of the road is 90. Those will be beans. This is 60 and 40 over there. So it'd be right around 200 acres of soybeans. But the rest will go into corn. So I should be able to get that wheat off much earlier. And then the corn has to go on right away. And the soybeans obviously will too. But I have a little more time with the beans than I do with corn. So that's what's going to happen there. But anyways, I got to replicate all this stuff, and this is not junk. As a matter of fact, I don't see the reason to go and buy a new corn planter, spend all that huge amounts of money, because when I'm done with this thing, I will have somewheres around $30,000. Somewheres around $30,000 invested in this planter. I do see an issue with the height, picking this thing up high enough. Somebody had suggested to me to take and put a chain, somehow put a chain on there. I don't know how the hell they did that, but some way of holding it up. So maybe if I put a chain around there and then hooked it in someplace else, I don't know, to hold those up. But I don't know. We'll figure that. We'll cross that bridge when I come to it. It is a massive corn planter, though. This thing is like 45 feet long in here. So, but whatever. Is what it is. Now I'm going to shut up and get out of the way.